षड्यंत्र है, जनता इसका जवाब देगी.
Arvind Kejriwal calls the Enforcement Directorate case politically motivated. The United States comments on Kejriwal's arrest and Congress Party's income tax case.
We continue to follow
the topic
these
was
actions
discussed
closely,
with Indian
including
side
the
on
arrest
Saturday.
of Delhi Chief
India
Minister
and Germany have a great interest in closer
Kejriwal.
cooperation and
We are
work
also aware of the
together in an atmosphere
Congress
of
Party's
trust.
allegations
I
that
would be
tax
reluctant
authorities
to
have
talk about
frozen some of their bank
confidential
accounts in a
internal
manner that will
discussions
make
here.
it challenging to effectively campaign in the upcoming elections.
Germany too commented on India's internal affairs.
Thema erörtert worden ist mit der jetzt ungern hier aus vertraulichen
New Delhi hits back.
The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable.
Is the West interfering in India's internal matters? Has the US crossed the diplomatic Lakshman Rekha? That's our top focus on India First.
Has the West crossed the Lakshman Rekha here? Let me quote to you what the German Foreign Ministry said in a statement. We assume and expect that standards relating to independence of judiciary and basic democratic principles will also be applied in this case. Like anyone else facing accusations, Mr. Kejriwal is entitled to a fair and impartial trial. This includes that they can use all available avenues without restrictions. The presumption of innocence is a central element of the rule of law and must apply to him. Unquote. Is Germany assuming Arvind Kejriwal will not get a free and impartial trial? Is Germany implying that Arvind Kejriwal, an elected leader in India, will not get all available avenues without restriction and that rule of law will not apply in his case? And why are such statements being made? Is there a signal to India here? I'm Gaurav Sawant. We debate. But first, as always, the headlines on India First. No relief for Arvind Kejriwal. The Delhi Chief Minister's ED custody is extended till the 1st of April. Kejriwal defends himself in court, challenges the enforcement directorate to prove a money trail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi slams the Congress, hits out at the lawyers' letter on judicial integrity. The Prime Minister says bullying courts is vintage Congress culture. Bollywood actor Govinda takes a pole plunge again. The actor joins the Shiv Sena, likely to be fielded from Mumbai Northwest against Uddhav Sena's Amol Kirtikar. More trouble for Congress Party spokesperson and leader Supriya Srinath. Delhi police to probe Srinath's sexist post on Kangana Ranaut. Delhi LG seeks a detailed report on who put up the post from Supriya Srinath's account. Big story breaking here on India First. Dreaded dawn, and 5 times former MLA from Mao, Mukhtar Ansari, is critical. He's been rushed to hospital after a massive heart attack in Banda jail. Ansari has been taken to hospital. He complained he was unwell after the prayers in the evening. He was keeping rosas. We are told Ansari entered politics in 1995. He became an MLA in 1996. Incidentally, Mukhtar Ansari has a total of 61 cases against him, including murder and attempt to murder. He's been sentenced in 8 cases, including a life in prison in 2 cases. And Mukhtar Ansari has been in Banda prison since April 2021. He's also been convicted under the Gangster Act and the Anti-Social Activities Prevention Act. Incidentally, in June 2023, a Varanasi court had convicted Mukhtar Ansari and sentenced him to a life in prison for the murder of Avdesh Rai, a businessman. And incidentally, Rai was the elder brother of the current Uttar Pradesh Congress chief Ajay Rai. The information that we have as of now, UP Dawn-turned political leader Mukhtar Ansari is in hospital. He's been rushed to hospital after he suffered a cardiac arrest in jail. His condition is extremely critical. He was rushed to hospital while he was in jail. Let's quickly listen in. We are getting a reaction from his lawyer, Naseem Haider, on his current condition. Let's quickly cut across and listen in.
मुख्तार अंसारी की वो दोबारा मेडिकल कॉलेज लाया गया है, क्या कुछ जानकारी मिली है आपको?
मुझको सिर्फ ये जानकारी मिली है कि वो को लाया गया है। अभी क्या पोजीशन है, कैसी पोजीशन है बताने में असमर्थ है स्टाफ यहाँ का। डॉक्टर अंदर गए हुए हैं जी, डीएम और एसपी साहब गए हुए हैं। जैसा होगा।
प्रशासन ने आपको क्या सूचना दी थी?
प्रशासन ने मुझको कोई सूचना नहीं दी। मुझे सूचना आप ही लोगों के माध्यम से जो मिली जी।
कैसी है हालत? क्या कुछ बताया गया है?
कुछ भी नहीं बताया गया। क्या थोड़ी देर में आपको बुलाया जाएगा, बताया जाएगा।
And for the latest on this big story, I also want to cut across to India Today's Santosh Sharma, who's been tracking the story, both through the police, prison authorities, and also from the hospital. Santosh, what's the latest? What can you tell us about Mukhtar Ansari's latest condition?
Mukhtar Ansari, we can say the latest condition is very serious. He is under the observation and he has been admitted to the Bana Medical College and shifted to the ICU. 5 doctors panel is monitoring him. Last on Tuesday early morning, when he complained about abdomen pain, he was admitted to the Banda hospital. And so we can say that on Tuesday evening, he was again shifted to the Banda jail. But today, in the evening around 4 to 5 p.m., when there was a routine checkup was going on of Mukhtar Ansari, before the SDM, the local administration and the jail administration, he got fainted. And what we are getting from the sources that Mukhtar Ansari got a severe cardiac attack. So okay. He was rushed to the Banda Medical College, where he has been admitted, and the panel of doctors is monitoring him. We can say today Mukhtar Ansari is very much serious. His condition is very much serious.
Keep tracking that story, Santosh. I will come back to you for more. His condition remains serious. We'll get you more on that story, but for the moment I want to move to our top story. India, hailed as the mother of democracy, the oldest flourishing civilization of the world. A chief minister has been arrested, and every twist and turn of the case in courts is being widely reported. And yet you have 2 Western powers, Germany and the United States of America, that have now repeatedly spoken about the Arvind Kejriwal case. The question some are asking, why specifically about Arvind Kejriwal? The US, of course, in response to a question, also spoke of the income tax case on the Congress party. But the Ministry of External Affairs has hit back and hard at what the ministry described was unacceptable interference in India's internal affairs.
ये एक पॉलिटिकल षड्यंत्र है, जनता इसका जवाब देगी.
In the Rouse Avenue court, the legal teams of the Enforcement Directorate and the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal clashed over his custody in the alleged 100 crore Liquorgate scam. Barely a few kilometers away, the Ministry of External Affairs hit out at foreign powers interfering in India's internal affairs.
The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable. In India, legal processes are driven only by the rule of law. Anyone who has similar ethos, especially fellow democracies, should have no difficulty in appreciating this fact.
24 hours earlier, the Ministry of External Affairs had summoned a senior US diplomat in New Delhi to express India's displeasure at the US commenting on Kejriwal's arrest and trial in court. India lodged a strong objection and protest with the US embassy officials, saying that the US State Department comments on Kejriwal's arrest and trial were completely unacceptable and totally unwarranted. Earlier, the US, in an email reply to Reuters, said, "We encourage a fair, transparent and timely legal process for Chief Minister Kejriwal." The US was not the only country to have commented on India's internal affairs. Germany too stands accused of interfering in India's internal affairs.
Also wir haben den Fall zur Kenntnis genommen.
We have taken a note of the case. India is a democratic nation. We assume and expect that the standards relating to the independence of judiciary and basic democratic principles will also be applied in this case. Like anyone facing accusations, Mr. Kejriwal is entitled to a fair and impartial trial.
Anspruch auf ein faires, unvoreingenommenes Verfahren.
New Delhi conveyed both to Washington DC and to Berlin that any country that has similar ethos should have no difficulty in appreciating the fact about India's independence and robust democratic institutions. After India's strong response, Germany appeared to have climbed down a notch on Kejriwal's arrest and the ongoing proceedings in court.
Let me emphasize once again that we, India and Germany, have a great interest in closer cooperation. As such, I would be reluctant to talk about confidential internal discussions here.
Wir werden hier aus vertraulichen internen Gesprächen berichten.
But in the US, a question was once again put to the Biden administration, quoting an Amnesty International report claiming there was a crackdown on opposition that had reached a crisis point, prompting this second comment from the US State Department.
We continue to follow these actions closely, including the arrest of Delhi Chief Minister Kejriwal. We are also aware of the Congress Party's allegations that tax authorities have frozen some of their bank accounts in a manner that will make it challenging to effectively campaign in the upcoming elections, and we encourage fair, transparent, and timely legal processes for each of these issues.
New Delhi has reiterated, in India, legal processes are driven purely by law, and that government was committed to protect democratic institutions from undue external influences. Bureau Report, India Today.
Have Germany and the United States crossed the diplomatic Lakshman Rekha here? Do their comments amount to interference in India's internal affairs, or is there merit in the criticism? Why specific comments on Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal? Political leaders have been arrested before. Hemant Soren just weeks before Arvind Kejriwal. Or are their concerns legitimate? Are their comments legitimate? Joining me on India First, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, follows international affairs very closely. Sanju Verma is the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Syed Asad Abbas is a political analyst and an Aam Aadmi Party supporter. Sanju Verma, I want to begin by asking you, madam. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails India as the mother of democracy. But with a sitting chief minister arrested, are India's credentials as a free and fair democracy now being questioned by Germany and the United States, ma'am?
You know, Gaurav, I was just doing some homework before coming on your debate, and I was relieved to know that both the PMLA of 2002 and the revision done to the PMLA in 2005 and the Indian government's, or rather, you know, in our legal jurisprudence, the Prevention of Corruption Act, both the PMLA and the Prevention of Corruption Act are in line with the United Nations Stance Against Corruption Act of 2004. So the first point I'm making is that both these acts are not arbitrary, they are not obscure, they are not opaque, they are completely in line with what the international benchmark is. Point number two, I find it extremely surprising that barely 7 to 8 weeks back, when Hemant Soren was arrested, there was no halabaloo, no hue and cry. But look, the moment Kejriwal has been arrested, and that too after he brazenly, repeatedly, consistently, you know, he was very in the face, as if, you know, you're showing a thumb in the face to the Enforcement Directorate. He refused to comply with the summons. So I would say that rather than being draconian, the Enforcement Directorate actually gave Kejriwal a long rope. But that is not the point of discussion here. What the Biden dispensation said, and prior to that, Germany has also made a similar point. They have said we want a timely, disposal of the case. We want the justice system to be transparent. We don't want it to be opaque. Of course, the Indian judicial system is transparent, it is objective, it is not obscurantist, it is not opaque, and I don't think we are going to brook any interference in our internal matters from any power, be it Germany or the United States. And I think the MEA, Gaurav, has spoken out with no ifs or buts. They've spoken in very clear and candid terms saying that the Indian democracy is vibrant.
Syed Asad Abbas, have Germany and the United States crossed the diplomatic Lakshman Rekha, or have they, in your view, raised legitimate, genuine concerns, sir?
Gaurav Saab, I've always believed, this quote of George Washington, I think summarizes everything. With respect to Arvind Kejriwal, when you do the most common things in life, in the most uncommon way, you command the attention of the world. The healthcare system, the education system of Delhi was seen not just by the First Lady of the United States of America, but also mentioned by the former United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Kofi Annan. The same reason why, when it comes to Kejriwal, there are bound to be questions. Let me give you my stand. Of course, it is absolutely not justified. It is unacceptable for a Germany or USA, Australia, or any country outside India to comment on India's internal matters. But when questions are raised in a democracy with respect to the functioning of the enforcement directorate, there are bound to be questions. The questions will come. Why so? Because Arvind Kejriwal is not just another chief minister, sir. He's one chief minister which was undefeated by even the likes of Modi. 3 times in Delhi, the Bharatiya Janata Party tried their best might, but they could not defeat. He's also the revolutionary leader who brought about 2 states in the matter of 10 years. India's fastest growing political startup, I would say. So therefore, when you rattle a leader like that, there are bound to be repercussions. There are bound to be world leaders. There are bound to be world states.
Fair enough. Let me take that to Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, are US and German concerns legitimate, given that they're not only asking questions about the manner in which this case is being tried, but they're also saying, let it not be opaque, let it be decided in a time-bound manner?
So all of these cases will be decided as per the Indian judicial system. The kind of remarks coming out of Germany and the US, and look, we are not kids, right? We know that these questions are planted. Now you can keep quoting George Washington, and you can keep quoting startups, and you can tell us where the startups get their money from, their seed capital from. You can say that, people outside this country tend to protect their own. You can say whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, there are serious charges which have been put against a sitting chief minister. And I agree with Sanju Verma that he had been summoned almost 8 or 9 times, or 6 times. I don't remember exact number.
9 times. Count. The 10th summon was when he was arrested. Go on, sir.
So somebody should ask the State Department spokesman that if somebody in the US system is summoned more than once or twice or thrice, he's given a subpoena and he doesn't come, what happens to them? So, it's very easy for these Americans who don't know anything about the rest of the world to start commenting. And I think the fault, Gaurav, ultimately lies with us. We are trying to defend our legal system. I don't see why we need to do it to these guys. Let's talk about the American legal system. I think really JSXP needs to start, rephrasing how they protest. Constantly saying unwarranted comments. It doesn't sink into the heads of the others. Next time, you also get a planted question about Trump's case, about how he is being hounded financially. He is being pushed in a corner so that he doesn't have the campaigning funds. If you can comment on me, I can comment on you. Let's talk about all the summons which FBI issues to various kinds of people, or their SEC issues to various kind of people.
Syed Asad Abbas wants to quickly respond to you, Sushant Sareen, and also on the criticism that Syed Asad Abbas respond to the criticism that USA and Germany are actually interfering with our internal affairs. Respond to what Sushant Sareen said, sir.
Firstly, Sushant Sareen made a point that this story has been planted. Respected sir, We are not talking about any Tom, Dick and Harry here. We are talking about a statement from the US State Department. So are you trying to say...
You seem to be very impressed with the US State Department.
Allow me to complete, sir. Thank you.
He's a
Are you
deputy
trying to say that the
level
Aam
officer.
Aadmi
Yeah.
Party...
What's wrong with you?
Sir, this is not that channel, sir.
Leave your
This is
slavish
India
and
Today.
colonial
Allow
mentality.
me to finish my point, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. I heard you patiently.
I'm not a colonial master.
Sir, now listen to me very carefully, Mr. Sareen. The fact is, are you trying to say that the might of Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party is so powerful that they have all the ability and capability to plant a story in the US State Department? No, sir. These are German officials, diplomats, and the US who are in power today. The fact is, you need to understand, sir, the world is witnessing. India is indeed a Vishwaguru. We are indeed a trillion-dollar economy. We are...
I also want to bring in Sanju Verma. A very little time on this part of the show, but Sanju Verma, this criticism is not just coming from Germany and the United States, but also international rights organizations. They've raised concerns. Entities like Amnesty, they've talked about what they see as crackdown on opposition, which they claim has reached a crisis point.
Okay. Gaurav, I have some very interesting information for you. This is not Sanju Verma saying it or the BJP saying it, but there is an Aam Aadmi Party leader. He was the Aam Aadmi Party's Punjab convener in 2016, and obviously he was sacked thereafter because he questioned Kejriwal. He said that there is proof that Kejriwal is a CIA asset, and he gave some details which your audience needs to know, then they can decide for themselves. There is a Ford Foundation India representative, a man called Stephen Solnick, who admitted that he gave $15 million to an NGO called Kabir, which was run then by Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia. And Kabir, for all practical purposes, is the Indian arm of Ford Foundation. So the link between Kabir, between Ford Foundation, the CIA, Kejriwal...
Abbas wants to quickly respond because India Today has no independent verification as of now. But Abbas, quickly respond to the criticism.
Quick response in 30 seconds to Sanju Verma ji. Sanju Verma ji is a very senior spokesperson. I have great respect for her. But if she has this kind of information, respected ma'am, you're in the power, you're in the party. Why don't you please give this information to the research analysis wing or the intelligence bureau? Ma'am, let's not make hilarious, ridiculous statements here. What, without any source or without... No.
One by one.
You're scared that I'm exposing you today. Ma'am, Gaurav, can you ask her to please listen?
One by one. Only Sayyid Asad Abbas, please.
Thank you, Gaurav. The fact is, Sanju Verma ji, if you are privy to such information, ma'am, I don't know, the last 10 years, why are you sitting on such information? Please hand it over to the research analysis wing or the intelligence bureau. Or do you doubt our own intelligence agencies? Respective ma'am, please do not make hilarious, ridiculous statements. I'm sorry, the Aam Aadmi Party here.
Okay, so Shan Sareen, quickly, last 30 seconds that I have on this part of the show. It's not just Arvind Kejriwal. Congress Party's accounts have been frozen. Rahul Gandhi called Congress Party's accounts being frozen as an assault on democracy. He used words like Congress leaders were unable to take any action, book advertisements or send leaders anywhere. America says we've also looked at that very closely. Sushant Sareen.
Yeah, so it's a taxation problem. I don't know, have they seen the tax books and have they followed the taxation laws of India? I didn't know that the State Department spokesman, Mr. Abbas, seems to think he's a real genius, but I don't think he knows what the Indian tax laws are, number one. Number two, RAW and IB cannot investigate cases. They can only give intelligence. They are not... So I would really suggest Mr. Abbas educates himself. Number three, to Sanju Verma, if you really have evidence against Ford Foundation, I hope you've put Ford Foundation and these kind of organizations out of business in India. Or are they still operating in India? Because ideally, if they are CIA fronts, which I have no reason to doubt they are not, then why haven't you thrown them out? You've been in power for the last 10 years.
Okay. This is a story we'll be tracking very closely. I'm sorry I've run out of time on this part of the show, but this is a question that our viewers perhaps would seek answers to from the ruling dispensation and the government. If CIA is operating in India, what action is the government taking against them? Or is this all imaginary?